Here we go, Retro Computer Fest at the Cambridge Centre for Computing History 2023. It's a whole weekend where a load of awesome people all get together and bring all their retro computing machines and share what they've been working on during the year, and even let you have a go on some of these amazing rare machines. Really great bunch of people, really great atmosphere. And even better, it's all alongside the permanent exhibitions at the museum, like these Jacquard loom cards, the first ever machine memory. Wow. Now there's no way I could possibly cover everything at the festival, but believe me, there's some really cool stuff coming up in the video. I was also exhibiting at the festival. This is what I took, a reimagining of the Ramix machine, something that's not been seen working since about the 1960s. What this does is traces the shapes that you put in front of the screen and turns that into a waveform. So you are drawing sound. And if you don't want to have to wait to see a bit more about this machine, then you should be subscribed on my Patreon, because I've already done loads of videos on it over there. This dude was there as well on the table next to me, and of course brought some cool stuff. The link to his video is at the end of this one. Okay, so shall we go see what else is being exhibited? Straight away as I walked in, I spotted across the room a teletypewriter, and as you'd expect, that got my attention. So first thing, we're going to go talk to Dave Williams, and maybe even see if we can get it working.
Right, we're here with Dave, and Dave has some amazing machines here. He's going to tell us a little bit about them, if that's alright,
Yeah,
Dave.
yeah, so this is a 1972 IMP 16 by National Semiconductor. It's the first 16-bit microcomputer. This is the CPU board here. It's a bit-sliced processor, so you've got 4 chips, each which is 4-bit register and arithmetic logic units. It was designed as a development system for that processor. It wasn't a commercial success at all, and one of the fairly well-known markets was for the Aston Martin Lagonda 2 digital dashboard.
Oh, fantastic.
So it made up the first digital dashboard in the car,
Right, yeah.
and it was quickly replaced because it was unreliable.
Ah, okay.
So they went with the Z80 in the end.
Yeah.
That's hooked up to the teletype there.
Teletype, yeah.
Mechanical, oily, noisy.
Oily and noisy, yeah, that's what
Yeah.
we like. You have 2 of these, right?
I do, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Stereo.
Okey-dokes.
Reset it. So set the start address, set the data. Let's put it on. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Oh, there we go.
And that's just sticking a little bit, so. So it's taken nearly 2 days at the event to get the program to work to print that out reliably.
This is the curse of Retrofest, is that everything is a bit temperamental.
And
they're all old machines. So.
Yeah, it's really slow as well, because the only interface on this to load data in and out is the 110 board interface to the teletype. So to load the editor and assembler to write software on it takes about 30 minutes.
Okay, yeah.
So I've been loading it from a laptop, not the teletype.
I see. Yeah. So normally you would have a punch tape and you'd run it through, and that would be how the program information gets into the computer.
The earlier version of the software was a separate editor and assembler.
Right.
So if you were developing properly on it, you would spend 10 minutes loading the editor, you would write your program, punch that program out onto paper tape, you would then load the assembler, which takes about 20 minutes. You would then run through the tape you just made on it, so it would assemble the program. If it had no errors, you could then create the final tape with your program on it, but more than likely you would have errors, so you then have to spend 10 minutes to load the editor back in, load your source file back in on it, edit it, punch out a new tape, 20 minutes to load the compiler.
Crikey, I'm exhausted already.
So yeah, the sooner I can get something faster to load on here, the better. Yeah.
Right, well, it gives you a big appreciation for what all these people had to do back in the day just to get these things working. They were mad.
Absolutely mad. Yeah.
Alongside the first ever 16-bit microcomputer, Dave has also got the first ever 8-bit microcomputer. Super rare. So I'm happy already because I've got to play with a teletypewriter. But what's better than teletype? Radio teletype. And that's where Paul Marsh comes in. He's got a whole table full of incredible radio stuff. He's turning pictures into sound and then turning the sound back into pictures over radio. What?
Well, I think this might actually be my favourite thing I've seen at the festival, because it's all to do with communications and radio, teletype stuff, and I'm going to hand over to you to tell us all about it.
This is an amateur radio mode known as slow scan television. It takes an input from a PAL video camera. There is a capture, and it converts fast scan television into slow scan that can be transmitted over a sideband voice channel, which is about 3.3 kilohertz bandwidth. Obviously the image cannot be real time. It takes, in this case, 30 seconds to transmit. So if I press the go button, you will hear the noise and see on the PC the image being built up.
So it's transferring the image that it's seeing from this camera, going over the radio, decoded onto here. Incredible. And it's all via audio. Literally what we're hearing through the speaker is the information being transferred.
It's the audio, yeah. And the reason for that is you can use normal ham radio transceivers, for example a sideband transceiver or FM or something via a satellite, to transmit the image. If there is any interference, you would see that manifest itself as horizontal noise bars, but the human brain can interpret the picture even through significant interference.
Fantastic. Can we see it in action again? Because there's some extra little bits on the screen here that really show you how it all works.
So this is the standard test card, and we'll press the send button.
And this is what we're listening to. This here.
So this is this basically shows the line of slow scan television. The sync pulse is here, followed by the luminance and chrominance information. You can see, for example, as the crosshatch is generated, you will see here lots of bars here, for example, and that represents the image information per line. And then here you can see this part is the frequency grating here.
And you explained to me that it goes through a line 3 times in red, blue and green.
Yeah, so there are different modulation techniques according to the slow scan mode, but for example, one line can be transmitted with red, green, blue, red, green, blue, red, green, blue, and the picture is sequentially made up after all the lines have been transmitted.
Absolutely fascinating.
This is the WeatherFax setup, which is decoding and recording from Meteosat 7, which is a geostationary weather satellite. And it ended in 2006, but we have a recording of the final 90 odd minutes of transmission. This uses a signal transmitted on a 2.4 kilohertz subcarrier with analog video information, and this is transmitted from the satellite approximately every 4 minutes with a different sector of Earth. So the favourite sector to look at the UK would be the D2 sector. Because the software is just running without any locking, you can see the synchronisation pulses halfway through the screen. But when it gets to the end of the image and does a reset, the next image will be correctly centred and correctly synchronised.
Who would be using this?
Oh, so the consumers of this back in the day would have been, for example, national broadcasters who want to have animations of cloud formations and what have you on, for example, a weather forecast, on the television.
Who recorded the last broadcast of it?
It was received by me using a small satellite dish, about 1.5 metre diameter, a homemade feed and microwave amplifier operating at 1.7 gigs. And a standard comms receiver, so I used an AOR scanner with an FMD mod, and that basically produces this sound that you can hear, which has the image information in it. UMETSAT, to run the satellite, said that on the particular day, at this time, it will be discontinued forever. And so I thought it would be a good thing to record the last 90 minutes, so I could burn it onto a CD for future generations to enjoy.
Good thinking, yeah.
Now if you're a nerd like me, you immediately recognise this sound as teletype signals being broadcast on the radio.
Or.code, you can see it, the representation of the code traversing along here.
And Paul was telling me all about that and how to do it, so believe me, we are going to get that working on my teletypewriter. And I've put it out there now, so I've got to do it. Apparently there's one weather station in Germany still broadcasting in the old school radio teletype. So time is ticking because those radio transmitters are expensive and they ain't going to be doing that forever.
Software-defined radio.
And he was also showing us this awesome software that allows him to connect to the radio antenna he has at home and a load of other people's all around the world, receive it via the internet. And I was blown away by his ability to pick out different radio signals just by looking at the screen here. We were listening to pirate broadcasters in Brazil spamming up a military frequency.
I'm here with me, mate. Pete, you're slightly into computers, aren't you?
On and off. Yeah, sometimes.
You're so into computers that you've actually started your own music, right?
Yes, yeah.
What's it called?
There's no such thing as a shameless plug. Short Circuit.
Short Circuit.
Short Circuit, which is in Folkestone. We're getting it up and running now, so hopefully it'll be actually open within about 2 to 3 weeks.
Very exciting.
Definitely so.
And you brought some of your machines with you to Retrofest. What have we got here?
Well, I wanted something simple that I could just set up. I just thought I'd bring some Amstrads. People know the Amstrads as like the 6128, the 464 up there.
So just for the uninitiated like me, this is not just a keyboard, this is a computer.
So this is the whole computer.
This is the whole computer.
Inside there, and it's got the tape deck on it as well.
What were the tapes used for? Because it wasn't for playing the Spice Girls, was it?
No, that was for loading and saving your programs, so you could load your data from there and also save.
Kind of weird concept now.
Yeah, definitely so. But the good thing about the Amstrads was a lot of these machines you had to plug into your family TV or something like that. But Alan Sugar and the guys at Amstrads came up with a system where you just had one plug which was on the back of this monitor, and this monitor works for all the CPC machines, bar the Plus models that are down here. And it comes out and it's just got 2 wires that come out the monitor, which is the video, and then 5 volts into the machine, and that's it. And
that's
you
all
just
you need.
switch it on.
Simple.
And it's there. There is quite an interesting machine because you've got the 464, which is 64K. This is just the German version. Then you had the 664, which is another 64K machine, but with a disk drive. The thing with this is so few were sold because he announced that the 6128 was coming out, which is 128K.
What a plonker. He's going to fire himself.
Exactly, basically, yeah. Going back to the 464, which was the original CPC machine, these machines are about 150 to 200 euros, or the equivalent of 200 euros. A tax law came out in Spain where anything that was 64K or lower, they were going to charge an extra 90 euros. It was like a third extra. What the clever guys at Amstrad did was brought out something that was called the 472, which was allegedly 72K.
Allegedly.
The idea was that customs couldn't look underneath it because none of these were connected.
Wow.
Every single machine 472 that went out was 64K, and even says so on the boot up screen. It actually comes up CPC 64K. So they got around the tax. This is an incredibly, especially in the UK, this is an incredibly rare machine.
What especially about the Amstrads gets your interest? Why did you choose to bring these to the event?
Oh, in about 1985, that was not the first family computer in our home. It was the first one that we could use on our own because we had the screen and everything. So it wasn't like me and my brother were in the living room on the computer like we used to be with the Texas TI 1994A.
Yeah.
So it was almost like it was our own machine just in the corner. We could take it up to the bedroom and play it or whatever we wanted to do. So we started off with the 464. And then upgraded to the 6128 probably in about 86 or 87. It wouldn't have been as soon as it came out, but not long after. It's a bit of a soft spot in my heart.
You spent many hours with this joystick going bing, 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 bing.
Yeah, and do you know what? That's exactly what I was doing. Can you do the sound again? Because I won't be able to do it anywhere near as good.
Pew, 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 pew.
That's it. That is childhood Pete in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Pew, 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 pew.
I'm sure a lot of people have had these in their homes over the years as well. Hopefully didn't put them in the tip.
Well, they probably did. I mean,
yeah. But that's the wonderful thing about this event is that everybody's preserving and saving this stuff.
Yeah, mainly because we've all got regrets from back then. Like, well, I threw this away and I threw that away and it's worth 800 quid now and I could have retired if I'd kept it all. But, it happens.
Well, that was a really fun weekend. Thank you to Tony and everyone who put it on. If you want to see more than I could possibly cover in this video, then you need to come along next year, don't you? And don't forget that you can get way more hack videos on Patreon. We're going to do way more stuff, including live streams, downloads, all sorts of good stuff. You should go check it out. Why don't you go check it out? You should go check it out. The link's below.